many things that's held us down, but now it looks like things are finally coming around. I know we've got a long, long way to go, and where we'll end up, I don't know. But we won't let nothing hold us back. We're putting ourselves together, we're polishing up our act. If you've ever been held down before, I know you refuse to be held down anymore.
Metamorphosis is here, it's live. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis, word, sound and power, music, drumming, current affairs, everything to grow and lift up your mind. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis, creating beauty and stimulating change from a constant supply of relevant knowledge and information.
No more youths and youths for sale. We get wise and don't decide to change their style. Bobby wrong, keep your empty promises and your crooked smile. Metamorphosis, come with your thoughts, change your way of thinking. Metamorphosis, the change begins with you.
Men are powerful, black men of Ethiopia, Timbuktu, Alexandria, gave the light of civilization to this world. Ethiopia shall stretch forth our hands unto God, and princes shall come out of Egypt.
On high, son of the Most High, Jah Rastafari.
Keep listening.
No more will I roam. while endless days seem so long, and still I have to carry on, living this way. It's such an easy game to play, yeah. But there'll come that day when, oh yeah, you'll be the one to pay. It won't be long when you be swaying beneath the blue. You got to go on back home, yes, and tell them about your adventures too. I'm going home. No more will I roam. Yes. No more will I roam. Yeah. Too long I've been alone here, trying to find a lover, while endless days seem so long, and still I have to carry on. I'm coming home. No more will I roam. Yeah, I'm gone. Emancipation, they say, will never come. Whoa, will never come. And as a man is doomed to die, down in a Babylon with war and strife, grief and the terror and the tongues of hate, this I know will soon abate. For I have seen the land of my father in my visions. From the hills of captivity's plains, yes, I the seed of a righteous one will someday declare, for I this land, for my brothers and my sisters, and my brethren in the yoke of oppression, for the child who only knows of faith and destruction. Deliverance will come, come, come. Deliverance will come. In this your time. Do you know what it means to have a revolution? And what it takes to make a solution? Fighting against oppression, ooh yeah. Battering down depression, oh yeah. Whoa. Ooh yeah. Whoa. Are you ready to stand up and fight the right revolution? Are you ready to stand up and fight it just like soldiers? Many are called, few are chosen. Many are called, few are chosen. Ooh yeah. Whoa. Ooh yeah. Whoa. Gotta fight the right fighting. Goes away from Africa. Intention to steal our culture. The good father passed by and said, humble yourself, my children. Humble yourself, my little one. Humble yourself. Oh, my brother.
METAMORPHOSIS. 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 Revolution. Revolution. Fundamental change. Heroes and villains. Revolution. Metamorphosis. Greetings. Metamorphosis. Dr. Iman Blak, your host. Moving into a period in Jamaican calendar where we are encouraged to focus on our heroes. National heroes. The Jamaican national heroes. Who are these people? What is a hero? What is a villain? In that binary, where there is a hero, there is a villain. Who defines heroic activity? Whose heroes do I and I embrace? Metamorphosis, exploring heroes in this Heroes Weekend, Heroes Month, and exploring revolution, the cry of the people.
this big plantation, fussing and fighting among ourselves. Nothing to achieve this way. It's worse than it. I said, get up and fight for your rights, my brother. Get up and fight for your rights, my sister.
Greetings, greetings. Recognizing the voices of the Abyssinians. Still on the plantation. Taken away from our civilization. Brought into this big plantation. And in this plantation, we have been given an education. This education informs I and I that there is a concept called hero. Masculine concept. A hero. There's also the feminine version called a heroine. Hardly spoken of. So we're going to speak mostly about the hero. And as African people uprooted and brought into this captivity, we must now have a perception of what a hero looks like and who must be the hero of the African people in this plantation life. And this is a concept that is global, the concept of the hero. But I and I have to recognize that there is also a perspective to these concepts, and it is grounded in the culture. And from your perception, where are you grounded in history? So the metamorphosis now, as an individual presenter, Dr. Iman Blak, I've been on this plantation now. I've been experiencing for quite a few decades now this cycle of celebration and events called Heroes Week and Heroes Month. And this has been happening, it's been going around and around, just like Christmas, just like the other events that are created that people galvanize around. This one I'm finding quite peculiar now as I begin to really assess this plantation and where it's really moving. And this whole concept of the hero, I have to bring it into focus now. And I want the ones them sort of penetrate what is it we have been educated into that we are now celebrating, and what is the nature of a hero, and who defines who the hero is. So dictionary is critical for definitions. What is a hero? And while we explore the hero, we recognize that there's an opposition to the concept of the hero. That is the villain. And so we have these two concepts now we're going to work with, the hero and the villain. What are the characteristics of the hero? And likewise, what are the characteristics of the villain? And as African people now who were captured and brought into slavery, chattel slavery, can our perception of a hero be the same as a colonizer? So when we look into the plantation now, we have to look into the framework of the oppressor and the oppressed, the colonizer and the colonized. And how is it that these groups will view what a hero is and who must be praised? And perhaps this time we shake off some of these heroes that we have been embracing and look deeper into the meaning of what the impact the hero has on your own psyche. So within the plantocracy, and even before Africans were exposed to the writing part of the education, we were bombarded with verses and voices. And so we heard about heroes very, very early, primarily through biblical scripture and primarily through comic books. So we have these comic book heroes and we have these religious or biblical heroes. But within the contemporary times of Jamaica, we have some heroes now that we begin by counting off with Nanny and Sharp and Bogle. And what is it about these heroes now that we should be emulating? What is it about these heroes? What is it that makes them a hero? Who defined those men as hero? And ultimately, now, if those men are heroes, who were the villains? And are the villains still in our midst as we celebrate in Jamaica Heroes Weekend and Heroes Month? We also explore the nature of the governance of this plantation. From the day one, it was a plantocracy set up to govern slave labor. And I, in this time, with all the education we have gotten, realize that to really have any significant transformation in the arrangements of how the plantation operate, elections will not do. We have to explore other methodologies to bring forth that change. And so we have to explore the history of other people. What is it they had to do to undergo change? And the cry today is for revolution. What does it mean? So we're going to look into the history of revolution and some places that revolution has taken place. And critically, we're going to focus in Africa on a particular revolution that is not spoken about much, but I think we have much to learn from the revolution that I will speak of. Metamorphosis.
The beautiful river, your journey, I say. Right over there, right over there. Ice green and gold, it's the rainbow. Ice green and gold, it's the rainbow. Gold is the rainbow. Ice green and gold is the rainbow. The rainbow. Oh, the rainbow. The rainbow. Whoa. Again around the rainbow circle choke. Chanting again around the rainbow circle choke. The lion crowned the king. The lion crowned the king. In Addis Ababa. It's the rainbow. Ice green and gold, it's the rainbow. Meet me at the bank of the beautiful river. Meet me at the bank of the beautiful river.
Yeah, Metamorphosis. Moving into the early session of exploring this whole concept of hero and heroine. And also trying to twin the reasoning with the concept of revolution, what it is and how it has happened across the world and what are the various types of revolution. Because the people are at a state of frustration that the system that they call elections are simply not providing the responses to basic needs: security, shelter, health, food, water, basics. So there are urgent crying. There's an urgent crying for a way that is not based on chaos, but has some form of structure to bring forth a thought of change that is fundamental. So we have to understand this thing in many different spheres. But at the moment now, we're just looking at this whole concept of the hero and the heroine, which is another sound like a drug, because within the language, heroin is something that is also dangerous. But that's another argument. So the hero now, a definition of a hero, or a working definition of hero, is a person of distinguished character. So we're getting into the aspect of the person's makeup. They must be of distinguished character. A person of distinguished courage and ability, who in the face of adversity or danger can commit acts of bravery, which is normally done for some greater good. So this is a working definition of a hero. The person must have a certain character, distinguished character, must have what we call noble qualities. So these are personality makeups, characteristics that have to help to define the makeup of a hero. But then this hero now, when we situate this hero in what the local parlance call in real life, on the plantation, within the African situation, within the oppressed people, and within the colonizers, within the Europeans, within the white people, there's going to be two different perceptions and views of hero. Because to the oppressed, the hero will take on a different nature than to the oppressor. So, as an example, when I am the plantation in the education system and they present us with information as history, we are introduced to some European heroes. Vasco da Gama, Francis Drake. These are sirs, English sirs, who have been knighted by the Queen and the King of Royal England. And these men go out under the flag of their countries and they exploit and they colonize and they call it exploration and discovery. And so there's a concept of a hero, that Vasco da Gama and these guys become heroes. But to those who are at the brutal end of the sword, the colonized people, how could the colonized people view these men now as heroes? So we have to be careful now how we begin to internalize the concept of a hero. And begin to recognize now that there is a concept called a villain. And a working definition for a villain would make a villain be described as really somebody who opposes the hero. The villain opposes the hero. The villain have negative effect on other characters. The villain is a deliberate scoundrel or a criminal, murderous and sadistic. A villain is a cruelly malicious person who is involved in or devoted to wickedness or crime. Governor Erie, Morant Bay, Metamorphosis. So many 100 years, 500 years now, who have been the heroes that have been programmed into the brain of the black population through education? Who have been the heroes? And if you check it out carefully now and check your own self, we look into those two dimensions mentioned earlier, those two aspects of our life, our religious life and our entertainment life, comic books, and the Bible. And it's a very serious place because heroes have an impact upon the psyche. Because to an extreme, heroes are sometimes even worshipped, which is what creates a kind of connection between religion and sport. Different reason again. But the whole notion of heroism, hero worship, these are things that we have to recognize exist. So, the biblical heroes, the comic book heroes, as youths on the plantation, as black people, movies produce also certain type of reinforcement of heroes. So, from the biblical perspective, one of the early heroes that I encountered was Moses. And if you check out the characteristics, I was also encouraged to adopt some of those godly ways of a man like Moses, to the effect that even enough people name their children Moses in quote-unquote honor of his quote-unquote leadership. This is an impact of a hero. And it's hard to sometimes separate leadership from heroism, particularly if you connect them into a social or a political framework. The comic books also produce a set of heroes for us as youths. Superman. Men with powers that were beyond human. And there was something very similar about all of these heroes, both in the religious and in the comic book world. They were presented in a certain way that the heroes usually appear to be white. And the villains were oftentimes presented as black. So, I'll be careful now about the washing of the brain and how the education now is sinking in and how we're viewing these concepts of heroes. And who is it that really defines who a hero is and whose cause does a hero defend? So as much as we are here in Jamaica now looking at heroes and sheroes, we have our differences in heroes here because we at a level here have racial heroes, heroes who have supported the plan, the oppressed people, defending the issue of race. And we seem to have some heroes who are more connected to politics and class. So, heroes and sheroes and the whole way of identifying who we must worship, because heroes end up actually being worshipped. We have sporting heroes. But in the world of sports, we have a whole set of heroes and heroines who are adored and emulated and try to be copied. This is the effect of a hero. In North America, for example, George Washington is a hero, but a hero to who? Does George Washington fall within the category of the oppressed, or is he within the oppressors? So if we begin to put on that lens now when we examine these heroes, and the people who write the stories and present their version as the historic version and the heroic version. Remember, you know, when the hunter goes to hunt the lion, he writes a story that he is the hero. When the lion writes a story, the hunter is a villain. So we have to be careful now what we're doing with ourselves and who we internalizing and who we're worshipping. And in the religious dimension, which other greater hero is there than Jesus? Metamorphosis.
Would you bring on stage at reggae?
All civilizations, all cultures have their own heroes. So we have to factor in culture. Once we begin to speak about heroes and worshipping of heroes. Because it's a serious thing if you end up worshipping alien forces. Yeah, you have to recognize what the thing is all about. How powerful the hero rests on the psyche of the people. So within African tradition, within black people life now, when I speak about heroes, I will talk about leadership and bravery, noble qualities. One of the places we have to look in this region to find that embodiment is in Haiti. You have to look into Haiti to begin to see signs of the embodiment of those characteristics. And it was all manifested in the uprising and the upheaval of that racist empire that was set up by the Europeans. That was eventually liberated by a black man himself, the Haitians. So revolution was what the Haitians applied to transform their place from a slave society to a free society, liberated society, to a point wherein all the black people, man them and woman from the other islands, work them to the very best to escape from where they were to get to Haiti. The same way now you see people trying to escape from places to get into Europe, to land in a land where them feel as though them have a chance. It was no different in Haiti in that time. All enslaved people, black people, dreamt of the day when they could touch the shores of Haiti and become free, liberated black man and woman. So we have had the experience of a successful revolution, but it was grounded in the knowledge of race first. Very important in this region, within the context of slavery, the oppressed and the oppressors, the colonized and the colonizer. So revolution now is a way of transforming social order. It means you have to instigate a sort of upheaval, because the status quo will not change itself. So that is a format that has been applied around the globe. But within the education of this Western plantation, we normally just hear about revolutions in Europe and famous ones in Russia and France, and we hear about the Chinese Revolution, yes, but it is not highly taught in this region. So we sort of locked into a European perception of revolution. The American Revolution, the French, the Russian, and those are the ones we are educated into. But before the metamorphosis is complete in this session, we're going to look into a revolution that happened on this land, not Jamaica land, on this planet, before the Haitians, before any European revolution. And this revolution took place even before the birth of Jesus the Christ. This revolution occurred in Africa. Very important to recognize this particular place now, that there was a revolution in Africa over 1,000 years before the birth of Christ. And this revolution I will look into, and to abstract from this experience, and those of you who have access to reading and things, we must go and begin to investigate this particular revolution. It's probably the most profound revolution ever in this earth. Profound, earth-shaking, coming right out of Africa. And this revolution has had an impact into the inception of even Islam and Christianity. Yes, this revolution precedes the birth of Christianity and the birth of Islam. Fearless. Metamorphosis.
Oh, so long.
This revolution occurred in Egypt. Ancient Egypt. Most profound revolution that the earth has seen. The Amarna Revolution. Check it.
Styles FM, you're my number one.
Ratty, in association with Seabell Resort, presents Pure Lush, all day, all night, all white seawater pool party. Heroes Weekend, Sunday, October 18, 2015. Admission $2,500. Enjoy, drink, and hors d'oeuvres all day, all night. Ticket outlets, the Best Sports Bar and Texaco Service Station, Buff Bay. Pure Lush, a Seabell Resort endorsed event. Pure Lush.
Hey, are you ready? You ready? All right. All right, let's go. Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Yes, it's on a Saturday. Every Saturday morning, live on Styles 96.1, the People Station. Here's an invitation to join yours truly, Colin Anthony, the man with all the money, honey. The program is called Smooth Sailing. Every Saturday morning from 9 o'clock until 1 on the p.m. It's gonna be on Styles FM 96.1. Have you got a plan? Oh, you've got a plan? We've got a plan. Do remember to join us. Smooth Sailing.
Are you ready for the time of your life?
Calling all bars.
This is an all points bulletin.
Hear me, no man. Watch you, no man. It's the Styles FM Bar Roundup Series coming your way. East Poland was so nice, we had to do it twice. This time we're headed to Judith Place, Hector's River, Saturday, October 17th. It's Girlie's birthday bash celebration alongside Excellent Cadian and Novita. You know music by yours truly, DJ Mookie, DJ Flair, and you know Fire Red from out of the East. Admission buy out the bar. It's a Styles FM event. Must be 18 years and older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Version for the version represents. I'm here say Euro Connection family presents Form Fusion. Saturday, October 17, place to be CUF Complex, Buff Bay, Portland. Music by Cosmic Movement, Sound Trooper. Hosted by Bascomex, live performance by Version. Admission $500. Mr. Rough them up, quaff them. Car we used to hungry. Oh, we never used to have money. Rough them up, quaff them.
I pray thee. Why do thee then rage and the people imagine of such vain things? Vast kings of the earth had set themselves on the rulers state council together. Against the Lord God, Rastafari, and against his anointed shame. Now come let us break their bands of sundown and cast away their cards from us. The holy that seateth in his heaven shall laugh. The Lord God, Rastafari, shall have them in his region. For then shall he speak unto them in his wrath and vex to them in his soul displeasure. For yet if I set thy kings upon the holy mountains of Zion, I will now declare the creed. The Lord God to Rastafari had said unto I and I. Because thou art thy sons this day have I begotten thee. No ask of fire and I shall give thee then for thine inheritance. And the uttermost part of the earth for their possession. Thou shall break them with a rod of iron. Thou shall dash them in pieces like a pot of vessels, I will say. So be wise, therefore, we kings, be struck to thee fast judges of the earth. Serve the Lord God to Rastafari with fear, rejoice, with tremble. Kiss I and I the son unless he be younger. But perish from his ways. God. When his wrath is kindled but the liquor. And so blessed be all. Blessed be everyone, as I would say. And blessed be all they that put their trust in the true and living God, Rastafari. That this man shall be like the holy mountains of Zion that cannot be removed but abided forever. Cause so the mountains round about Jerusalem. And so the Lord our God, Rastafari, is round and about his people, as I would say. The light of the wicked shall not rest upon the righteous, unless this individual righteous put forth his hands into iniquity. So do good, O Lord God, to Rastafari and to them that are
So within the
good.
plantation, there are heroes of resistance. Because resistance is a natural way of enduring plantation life. So resistance becomes almost an ideology and a way of life for enough black people and the experience of chattel slavery and what followed. So we're going to talk about the heroes of resistance. Because as out of the resistance now comes an attempt to change the nature of the plantation, the nature of the arrangements, the unjust arrangements between man and man, where the creation of servant and slave and master and lord and property of man becoming property of other man. This is where all these things were really created. So the hero for the colonized is a different character. And the characteristics now of that hero, we have to begin to highlight and enforce this type of character within our own population. Because if you're going to glorify the hero, it means that we must try to be like the hero. His qualities, which are described as noble. So within the Jamaican context now, they have given us some heroes to worship. And in this time of celebration, the focus is on the heroes themselves. So we hear that one of our first heroes in terms of political organization is Marcus Mosiah Garvey, first national hero. Garvey, of course, if we examine his characteristics and qualities, they have been condemned by those who are of the oppressor class and by the ignorant amongst those who have been oppressed. And Garvey's characteristics have been belittled. His demeanor has been rubbished. And there have been attempts to discredit his philosophy. But he's our first national hero. So there's a contradiction in the society then if the first national hero's teachings and way of organizing are not being embraced. It's something hypocritical then. Because this national hero has produced an economic framework and principles of development that has been ignored even at the level of our academics. Because at the highest plantation on this land here, the Mona plantation, where they churn out the brains to govern and maintain the status quo. An opportunity presented itself in the 70s for the country to embrace Garveyism as a philosophy. And the academics rejected that blackness and went to find Marx and Lenin way over there in Europe, in Russia. So there's a serious disconnect between what the heroes here represent and what those who govern seem to be saying. And the governed and those who are governed, you know, having issues. And it's reflected now into how we try to deal with governance through elections and politics. So that first national hero is something that we have to really wonder about. And why was Garvey defined as a hero, yet his way of living and his philosophy has been rejected by both tribes that lead the country, both political parties who have been the government for different occasions, have basically held the line. There has been no pardon for Garvey in Jamaica for the trumped-up charges that put him into prison. Garvey was imprisoned in America, and he was imprisoned here in Jamaica too. And so the hypocrisy of trying to pressure America to pardon Garvey just show you the double standard right here, because right here he's still held almost like a criminal. So the hero thing now exposing a lot of double standard and triple standard, and the black people who are awakening must sight up all the things set up. When we look at the history of the country before Garvey was born, when the plantation was at its highest level of brutality and milking out the sugarcane and all the various crops that were here, we have been given heroes that predate Marcus Garvey, as much as he has been politicized as the first one. And we will go into our liberation history versus the colonizer. We run up into characters like Taki, and then we end up into learning about Nani. Nani, of course, was a leader. And we're noticing that the heroes and the heroines must have leadership abilities. Nani was an African queen. That is suggesting that our women should be adopting the queenly principles of African women, following on the trail of Nani as a heroine. But that is not taught, because the culture of Africa, of course, we know, get a serious fight in Jamaica. But within the hero structure, especially the original heroes who have been declared such, their Africanness is dominant in their consciousness, and their racial affinity to blackness is unquestionable. So Nani is a heroine, and she becomes a hero in her defiance of white supremacy. Nani was a Muslim. Nobody emphasizes the Islamic side of Nani and the fact that Islamic forces were able to overcome Christian forces that forced them to put some X to a tricky paper called a treaty. So the hero and the heroine from the African perception is all about resistance then. And it's suggesting that we need more resistance within the African population, that we can create more heroes and more heroines. And in this struggle, none of those heroes cried out for anything called emancipation. All of those heroes from Haiti, Toussaint, Christophe, Nani, Sam Sharp, it was all about liberation. No respectful group of people ever fought for emancipation. It's always about liberation. And once you're struggling for liberation, then there must be an opposing force. Villains. And in our case in Jamaica, the villains have always been the British, the European forces. Nothing has changed. Plantation, Jamaica.
Yelja youth.
Aight.
I decide the movie Dirty Harry.
Aight, but watch a man. Wednesday gone, I man forward up a carry. And I man sight one eye. Sure, that one a rain can Dirty Harry, me I tell you. You know? This one called. Ah! Screaming targets, I will tell you, you know? Songs called Screaming Targets, I will tell you. Brother Rinker and Brother Callahan, you know?
No, no, no.
What you say, no? Well, I say, yeah. Cause you should never say no. And I would do is say, yeah. And I bet you don't say no. No, no, why? No, no, nothing at all that you would say. Come on down and let me hear what you say. When you come to say, baby, come and say it in your own way. And when you're doing that, look at that. When you do that, that should be great. The thing that you should go away with. You gotta go and come.
No, no, no.
You should never be a fool. No, 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 not at all. No, 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 you should go to school and learn the rules. The little racy classes all around, as I would say. So you can go to a little red place. And so you can come together and civilize.
Sir Francis Drake. Christopher Columbus. These characters could never be heroes. Not from the African perspective. These characters are villains, murderous, sadistic persons. But the education of the Western world, English-speaking people, have given us black people here the impression that these men must be worshipped and that they're heroes. And so the miseducation of the black man in the West continues along the lines of heroes and heroines. So within the Jamaican framework, Nanny, who the British could not conquer, is defined as a heroine. But the force that she fought against still remains. Likewise, Sam Sharp. The force still remains. So the villain has not moved. The villain still exists. And what has been happening to our persons of great leadership? They have been defined in their death as heroes and cast into stone. And it appears that in this stone casting, the liberation movement seems to come to a standstill. So liberation for a people must be a continuous activity. As leadership come and leadership go. But we'll find that heroes, we have to check out now who is it that is actually defining what makes up the hero for the black people. Our religious education, which is a fundamental problem in our misunderstanding, has given us a set of heroes that have a certain image. And this is what is creating enough of the problems in our own brain. Is that the image of the heroes in the Bible, 99% of those heroes, the images are projected as white. And the villain, the antagonist, usually projected as black. And when you get into the readings, and they take you into the dimension of the gods and the deities, there is also a dimension there of heroism. Because amongst the Christian world, there are angels, which are a dimension lower than the Creator. And even within that dimension, there are villains. And there are heroes. And the villain that we are exposed to and introduced to now is Lucifer. Lucifer now is projected as a villain. And the opposition to Lucifer, of course, we have been programmed into accepting. The point I'm getting at is that Lucifer is always projected as non-white. And so this antagonism to good is projected as black, basically speaking. And it's run right through the world of the movies, where within the image of a hero, the hero becomes white in an impression, where he rides a white horse, he's dressed in full white. But then the antagonist, the villain, the enemy of good, is usually projected as black. So we know we have a programming that surrounds the concept of heroes and heroines. Much of the training comes through the education, religious education, and the academic education. It makes the colonizers of Europe appear to be heroes in their quote-unquote discoveries. We celebrate Columbus in Jamaica. Think about that. We celebrate Columbus, a population of 96% African people. We are celebrating the colonizer. And we have a hard time praising and elevating Marcus Garvey, black national hero. So you see the brain of the black people in the Western world, it wants a rewashing of some of those heroic stories. And the unlearning is the hardest part because it's sinking early. And so the greatest hero again, within this whole religious training and education, is Jesus, projected as the perfect one. And everybody wants to, everybody meaning every female, wants to have her own Jesus, her own hero, her own center of worship. Heroes Week in Jamaica, that's what we're celebrating, looking into why we have to have heroes, who created these people, who defined them. How did Norman Manley and Alexander Bustamante become heroes? To what cause? Metamorphosis.
Man, oh
Hotter than sharp, as I would say. He hit the man for 3 million right through thirds. Cool breeze ain't that baby cold, yo.
Stop that train, I wanna get on. My baby, she's leaving me now.
My baby's going out with another man. And I beg is not a cheater, so I gotta get on. Say that I couldn't let my baby go, you know. Gotta catch a train as I was good breeze the back on the track. Baba dead dead on Baba short. Real cool as I would say. Play no cool breeze and I would kill you. See this Baba hit the man for 3 million right from the earth to the diamond. Cool breeze, I would say. Baby, don't be cool as I would beg, you know. Baby, got to reach out and touch your soul as
Stop that train, I wanna get on.
Is I would tell the studio. Cause man, I gotta get my baby back. And it's sweet cool as I would say.
Fidel Castro, Che Guevara, Simon Bolivar. Them man is considered to be revolutionary heroes, fighting against oppressors, the forces that intervene in their country and come with them colonizing mentality. So the hero from the point of resistance, always in a constant struggle against evil. And the evil is the villain. So Fidel Castro, recognized as a political hero for his stance and his military movements in challenging forces of colonization. Che Guevara, Simon Bolivar, revolutionary heroes. Make I man question if is there a place in the kingdom of heaven for these type of heroes? Yes, can these heroes fit into the kingdom of God, this heaven place set up for only a few thousand people, when the man is in opposition to the forces that promoting the same God church philosophy? So we have to check it out now, you know. The heroes that we are embracing are rejecting and fighting strongly against philosophies and ideologies of the colonizers. And within that teaching, it's all about embracing God and the Bible and Jesus and the teachings of King James. So, as a people, what are we doing and who are we embracing? Because if we're going to embrace our heroes, we have to embrace them fully. And if we embrace them fully, we have to go into the philosophy and the ideology that make them in opposition to what is at that time or this time the status quo. So we're glorifying the heroes, we're celebrating the Heroes Week, but then is it saying to us that we must also practice the ways of the heroes? That's a serious thing we have to contemplate, you know, because the times are not improving and the general way of governance and operation not functioning. We see that the thing collapsing. The model of governance is collapsing. The concept of a revolution should not be feared, but should be understood and investigated. And so the nature of revolution will be spoken about recognizing that it happens on different levels, and maybe in a place like Jamaica, the place where we need to have it take place more than anywhere else is in the brain of the people. We need a revolution in the brain.
Always gonna be one more bridge to cross. Is there always gonna be one more bridge to cross? Black people, do we really have to fight? Black people, do we really, really have to fight? You see, where I live, in the heart of the city, in the ghetto of the city, baby, all I can see is confusion, y'all. Every day all I can see is a brother against a brother. See a brother against a brother, I will tell you. Yeah, just a brother against a brother, I will say. Too much confusion. See, I can't take it no more in a Babylon. See, I be going out of Babylon. And I be going out of Babylon. I be going on the first train tomorrow. We don't feel no pain or sorrow. I be going on the first train tomorrow. No need no baggage, I won't take it down, say. Yeah, no need no baggage, I won't take it down, tell you. All you got to do is to be clean, y'all. Every day I pray. God, the righteous be glad on the righteous day, y'all. Just to let them feel how great is Judge of power. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Instead of a brother against a brother, let the brother try to live with one another. Yeah, cause every brother is a brother. Brothers, all you got to do is understand each other. Got no need for no fuss or fight. And we be going on a full straight tomorrow. Got no need for no sorrow. Need no baggage and no ticket, I would say. No need no baggage and no ticket down till you. I be going on the first thing tomorrow. Yeah, can't take it no more in a Babylon, as I would say. No more in a Babylon. In a Babylon. The hygiene walk so, the hygiene talk so, sight him a go so. Hygiene is love and unity, baby. If you want them, them is joy.
Heroes and heroines. The Greeks had their heroes. The Romans had their heroes. Who were the heroes of Africa? Who were some of the heroes of ancient Egypt? Many of us don't have any clue, because we think hero is a sort of thing that applies to European people, white people. So the white people can be heroes. So we have to look into our own self and redefine and understand what this notion of hero is. And is it really such an important concept? You know, we have our superstars and superstars, and there's always a way to try to give people a higher and higher title, elevating them personal psyche. Some people call it building up them ego. But the whole notion of respect is something that also emerges from hero worship. Once there's a hero, there's a certain level of respect that is given and it's due because of the courage and the qualities displayed. So whoever we put into our pantheon of heroes gets our respect. And when we put heroes that are really of the colonizers in their every way you can think of, it can't be positive for us. Because one of the ones, we can't be walking around worshiping our enemies. But that's a deep problem. Because much of the heroes within the meditation of black people are white people. Yeah, that is how the program works. And so we bow to these images unconsciously and subconsciously because of the respect that is given to heroes. So the comic book ones, them, for example, Superman becomes a early super. We have superheroes. We have regular heroes, and then we have superheroes. And the superheroes now do super things. And likewise, you have super villains. And when you project into the looks of these villains and heroes, we get back to the same racial makeup, where the hero always looks white. In other words, he looks European. And the villain and the enemy dressed in black. So we have to know ourselves. And maybe put a little spin on this thing now, begin to put our heroes out in black. And begin to have weddings dressed in full black. Yeah, and begin to go to funerals dressed in full white. The thing can spin around because it's all about what they have educated us to think. So the concept of heroes is something that we need to look at. And do we hold characters like Noah as a hero? Yeah, do we project respect to these type of characters in literature? Yeah, we have many teachings of biblical heroes. We also have our sporting heroes that are very close to us in this time. We have our sporting heroines. And we understand what it feels like to really have the respect for a hero. I was saying it in this time now, after seeing so many years of celebrating Heroes Week, and I'm not seeing much of the characteristics of the heroes in the society. And we don't see it being promoted by those who govern. Because the impression I'm getting that those who govern really cannot be supporting the behavior of the heroes. Because the heroes' behavior is generally to overthrow the nature of those who have been governing. When Paul Bogle rose up, it was to overthrow the barbarism of this British plantation. And the reward that the African people got was the formation of the police force. So we see the response consistently from the governing force, the oppressors, who are defining for us ultimately who must be our heroes. So out of our struggle, we can see Nanny to get off the plantation. We can see Bogle, we can see Taki, we can see Garvey. The other two heroes are in a different category from my perspective. And the dimension of that struggle now has nothing much to do with race or Africa anymore. And we seem to have lost our way and are now in a position where we're trying to create new heroes and trying to find characteristics and qualities. One name is coming up so often that it is distressing to the governing forces. That is Robert Nesta Marley, Rastafari. Can you imagine the governing powers putting Rastafari into the category of hero, promoting ganja and His Majesty? Serious.
Every one of us want progress, as I would say, but some of us can't stand success, as I would tell you. Why when one tries to do a thing of his own, you know, something kind of progressive, something kind of of your own. Time when you don't check what another person do, as I would say, don't check them at all. You got to learn to do one or thing, as I would say. Watch your step on, don't you take no step, as I would say.
The woman is the boom down there. The boom down there. The something there's a song down there. The bone bubble color brother David down there. The boom down there. The brother David down there. And I don't know what lie till David slew him with a stone. David slew him with a marble stone down there. The woman is the boom down there. With a marble stone down there. Little David do to big Goliath out there. You come to tell me that you are. You say that you are the follower. But I no follow. I create and I don't try to do all of people's business out there. The boom down there. The boom down there. Righteousness stands forever as out there. The boom down there. You see the little kids going down the street this day. Love each and every one of them is out there. The boom down there. The woman is the boom down there. So your mama got to be down there. Your papa got to be down there. Each and every one of us has got to be down there. Got to come with lovers out there. Love and happiness is out there. So the wicked go to weddles out there. Some people see that hell is for sinners, but hell is not just for sinners.
Metamorphosis, moving into Alkibulan, our story, Kimit. This is the section that I go into our story, the African black perspective of our experiences through the lens of I. and I. Now, the theme is about heroes and heroines and revolution and change. And I've been saying in between that the state of affairs in these Western plantations demand a new approach to change. For decades, we have been educated to apply this system of voting and elections. But that is a high level of deception. It's a con game. I have enough experience now to know that none of the groups that get into power have any interest in the vast majority of the population. These are two interest groups, call themselves parties. So the state of affairs on the plantation is left to a small amount of people to determine the fate of the many. So the change now that is required now is what the people are calling for, and they recognize that voting is not the change. The word that is going around is revolution. Boy, we want a revolution, you know. But what is it? And then those who are fearful of the term say, boy, we want a revolution, but we don't want a blood run, you know. So you have people who are seeking for this revolution that will be bloodless. There are people who are saying that in a revolution, blood must shed. Well, I want to tell you about a revolution that occurred in Africa, in ancient Egypt, in a period that is called the Amarna period, A-M-A-R-N-A, the Amarna period. This period of Egyptian history, of African history, is during what they call the latter half of the 18th dynasty. Now, I am sure that by now, most of the listeners, if not all, understand that dynasties are lineage of families that are controlling state power. And in ancient Egypt, as in many other places in Africa, dynasties has been a regular feature, where families rule for hundreds of years. So we know about stability in governance. We're not coming out in a cave. So the 18th dynasty in ancient Egypt is something that we can also research. The Amarna period, when the Pharaoh and his queen created what was called a revolution in Africa and the world. Yeah, a revolution. That today we are still feeling the effects of that revolution. Out of that revolution, Islam was born. And out of that revolution, Christianity also emerged. The Amarna revolution. This revolution was really characterized by the reign of a king, pharaoh, called Amenhotep IV. Amenhotep. A-M-E-N-H-O-T-E-P. The fourth. And there are two words there, Amen and Hotep. So Amenhotep IV, this great king of Africa, in Egypt, he changed his name. Same way you say Rastaman, conscious black people change their names. Amenhotep IV changed his name to Akhenaten. Now, we're talking about a period, 1,300 years. 1,350 years before the Christian era. In other words, now, before the birth of Jesus and before the birth of Abraham or any of the prophets of Islam. We're talking about the existence in ancient Africa of a king called Amenhotep IV, who became Akhenaten. And what is so significant is that this king and queen were able to effect a dramatic change in Egypt's religion. This is significant now, this is a revolution now occurring in Africa, in Egypt, being led by a king and a queen. And they are making the attempt to upheave and to overthrow the method of thinking about religion. And what Akhenaten and his queen Nefertiti promoted was a religion that brought Egyptian polytheistic ways of thinking to almost to an end. In other words, it was this king and queen who introduced the worship of one God over all other gods. And this one God he called Aten, A-T-E-N. And Akhenaten insisted that Aten should be worshipped as the only God. And it was symbolized by the disk in the sky, the sun. This is the beginning of a serious revolution in thinking about existence, about life, about creation. So it is in this period that I'm telling them now that a revolution is unfolding, or did unfold. And out of that, Akhenaten instigated and verified the concept of monotheism. So it is the African who, out of his own meditation, in an attempt to unify both states of Egypt, Upper and Lower Egypt, bringing together the God of South and the God of the North, to create the concept of a one God to unify the political order. And Akhenaten and his wife devoted their whole time to the building up of the deity Aten, A-T-E-N. Now, I am saying that I don't know that revolution is not simply chaotic overthrow of a political government. But revolution really occurs in the brain first. And where the revolution is needed in the black people is in the brain. And the revolution needs to be addressed to the structures that have been placed in the African brain. We have been forced to think. And realizing that a revolution to set the thing free would be one that would have to challenge monotheism. Because it is monotheism that has been imposed as a tool of control and used by Islam and used by Christianity. So within Islam, they have adopted that line that there is no other God but Allah. And the Christians have saying, thou shalt have no other God but me. This is Jehovah speaking. So Jehovah and Allah, which are outgrowths of Akhenaten and Nefertiti's creation, is actually what is in serious control over the meditation of the people today. Metamorphosis.
Not his story.
in ancient Egypt, previously, or what we say, previously, before the intervention of Akhenaten, the presence of many gods explained the natural phenomena for the people. In other words, there is a god of lightning, there's a god of rain, and so the presence of these many gods were enough to explain to African people the foundation and the basis of all the phenomenon that was natural. But during this period now, led by Akhenaten, there was a rise in the belief, in the thinking, in the philosophy of monotheism, where the people were beginning to be educated to think that the universe had a sole creator, and that this sole creator was Amun-Ra, the sun god. So I want the item really sight up now that it's really black man, you know. It's African people come up with this concept of this one God. And previous to that, we always had the concept of many gods and goddesses. But through the role and the works of Akhenaten and his queen Nefertiti, because think about it, if the head of state, if the leadership of the country has a philosophy and decides that the philosophy will be taught, it will be taught. So unlike Marcus Garvey, who was a citizen and developed his philosophy of Garveyism, if that philosophy was developed by the leader of the country at the time, Garveyism would be the philosophy that would rule Jamaica. So in other words, within ancient Egypt, it was a serious power that the leadership embraced the new philosophy. And so the revolution went ahead at full speed. It was a revolution from the top down. Of course, there was resistance, because many of the priests who would benefit from the many God philosophy would begin to lose resources. Because behind the concept of many gods is also an economic issue. And behind the concept of one God, there's an economic issue. Within the one God concept, all the resources come to that one church or the one God. When there are many gods, the money spread out. And so Akhenaten would bring grief to many of the church, and many of the priests whose resources would be reduced, as the resources now will be channeled from the people to just the one God. So you see, the one God is a political structure as well as an economic system in place. And we can liberate ourselves through knowledge.
My brothers and my sisters, now this is a message of love. Oh, yeah. And if only everyone could learn to live in love and unity, then things would be better. Not only things would be better, but the world would be better. All right.
So in the 5th year of his reign, Amenhotep IV changed his name to Akhenaten and moved his capital to Amarna. During the reign of Akhenaten, the sun disk, or the Aten, became the most prominent deity, and eventually the Aten was considered the only god. It is so. It is I creation. It is I manifestation. The concept of one God is an African construction. Likewise, previously to that notion was the concept of many gods and goddesses. Polytheism, monotheism, no-theism. Nefertiti was an Egyptian queen and the great royal wife of Akhenaten. Nefertiti and her husband are known for a religious revolution in which they worshipped one god only, Aten. Akhenaten and Nefertiti were responsible for the creation of a whole new religion, which changed the ways of religion within Africa. With her husband, Akhenaten, she reigned at what was arguably the wealthiest period of ancient Egyptian history. Nefertiti had many titles, including Hereditary Princess, Great of Praises, Lady of Grace, Sweet of Love, Lady of the Two Lands, Main King's Wife, Great King's Wife, Mistress of Upper and Lower Egypt. Is the power of I and I to create.
This is Styles FM.
Catch the showdown every Saturday morning, 10:30 to 11 a.m. on Styles FM. Yes, it's smoother sailing. The showdown. Two artists goes head to head. You tell us who's your favorite. Call us on 453-1444. The showdown, 10:30 to 11 a.m.
Calling all bars. Calling all bars.
This is an all-points bulletin.
Hear me now, man. Watch you now, man. It's the Styles FM Bar Roundup Series coming your way. East Poland was so nice, we had to do it twice. This time we're headed to Judith Place, Hector's River, Saturday, October 17th. It's Girlie's birthday bash celebration alongside Excellent Cadian and Novita. You know music by yours truly, DJ Mookie, DJ Flair, and you know Fire Red Shabot to the East. Admission buy out the bar. It's a Styles FM event. Must be 18 years and older to drink. Drink responsibly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chungy has turned it up loud in your ears, waking you up out of your bed every Saturday morning with a jump start from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The jump start with more music continuously all morning long with your host, Chungy. Styles FM, #1.
Remember Styles FM on social media. View us on YouTube, Styles FM Radio. Follow us on Instagram at Styles FM. Like us on Twitter at Styles FM 961. Become a fan on Facebook, Styles FM 96.1.
So I and I will never work in right and mash up the wrong. Stand for the right and mash up the wrong.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Afrocentric views on NEWS, on the Metamorphosis. You know, for the last couple of weeks, I've been speaking about the emergence, the rise in prominence and power of the man from Russia, Vladimir Putin. Putin. P-U-T-I-N. Putin. And over the last couple of days, the Russians are making themselves more and more visible on the global international chessboard, to the extent that the Russians have made a decision to enter the Syrian struggle with military force. And this has brought the attention of everybody now to Moscow, because apparently force gets your attention when you use force. And so Putin has made a decision to enter the military conflict, firing cruise missiles, and in an attempt to really position Moscow in a role where you have to bargain with Putin now to get certain things resolved in the Middle East. There are a lot of traffic now heading to Moscow. A lot of negotiations now, and Putin has put himself in a position now to negotiate on a world scale the way perhaps the Americans used to. So Putin now has China in his corner. He has the Iranians in his corner. And he's strongly supporting Assad in his quote-unquote fight against ISIS. What is happening in that situation now is getting so out of hand that the Russians are fighting against ISIS. The Americans are fighting against ISIS. The Russians have joined forces in Iraq to fight against ISIS. The Americans are in Iraq fighting against ISIS. Will it be that the Americans and the Russians will be fighting against ISIS when they should be fighting against each other? And now we see that Israel and the Palestinians have kicked off again, and they have cordoned off Jerusalem, and the situation has returned to normal, which is the violence between the Palestinians and the Israelis. all having its genesis in the scriptures of land being given to one set of people by one God, and the other God claiming that that can't be so. And so the struggle has its foundation in biblical history. So the world that we're looking at now, not seeming like a place that will be settled for quite some time. And what we're seeing is a political international rearrangement. And with Russia emerging now as a leader, with Western powers, the alliance seem to be falling in disarray. Europe is struggling under the migration. Their economies are shaking now with the mass exodus out of Syria, which seems quite orchestrated. You see where the Americans have decided to maintain troops in Afghanistan, and the Taliban are making them know that they are reborn. So this world that we are into now, as far as I am concerned, there is no intervention from the sky to resolve the conflict here. This is just about greed and power. And the black people now generally seem to be just consumers and pawns in this great international chess struggle. Every now and then we hear about Boko Haram and their attempts to disrupt Western Africa. But the struggle at the bigger picture is part of the decline of the United States as a world power. And they are not giving up the struggle so simple. And we look at how empires rise and fall. The internal struggles are usually key to the demise of the empire. Right now, the debates in America for the next leader, exposing all sorts of things. But we see that the gay agenda, as them call it, the men who were once called faggots, now calling themselves gays, they have a strong agenda in America. And if things work out the way they want it to work out, they want to control the White House. And I'm saying to black people, we need an awakening. We need a revolution in our thinking to find a solution to this situation. Can you just imagine China and Russia uniting? 30, 40 years ago, that was unheard of. They were almost bitter enemies. Now they are rearranging, and they have Iran in the fold. They have Syria in the fold. It's a serious domino game playing. Where is the African in this rearrangement? Still battling between Jehovah and Muhammad, fighting for righteousness, fighting for who can get into the kingdom of heaven, not recognizing the resources of the planet, and that the most critical resource is people. And within each person, the most important aspect of that person must be their culture. And so we must search out our culture and embrace Nile Valley African culture.
Mr. Slow Push, you're moving much too slow. Get out of your slumbering, there ain't much time to go. Get to stand and be a man. Let the nation know your plan. The world is in a crisis, seeking humanity. Look into the Middle East, there ain't no sign of peace. But heathens reign, oh yes there is, and it won't be for long. Get up, start slow push, welcome the morning sun, and try to do some good work. There's plenty to be done, like giving praises unto the King.
So when we look over into the place called Israel and have so many black people calling themselves Israelis and claiming that those Israelis are not the original, but they, the black ones, are the original, it's still a part of the confusion, because before Israelis, they were African people. Israelis seem to be some form of recent creation coming out of the biblical constructs of Abraham and Moses and all those religious heroes that them give us. And out of those heroic biblical characters now, we hear about these people called Israel. And enough black people connect themselves with that biblical tale of Israel. You know, that's a formation of a story out of a brain that is recorded as a Moses brain, an individual who writing all of these things for so many decades and generations. Well, I have the knowledge of Akhenaton, who is the founder of this one God idea, not Moses. And the one God that the Africans had created under that Aten philosophy was a God of mercy and justice, not jealousy and war, and ownership, and promoting incest and violence. And I was not a part of that construction. But we see today, so the people who are called themselves Israelis, who are Caucasians, who are backed by white Americans, backed by white Europeans, backed by the Caucasian race generally, they see themselves as some form of God's chosen people, Jehovah's people. But we know that the Jehovah thing is another imagination, because the Aten is the original one God. So these derivatives, these deviations of the one God is what has been leading the black people astray. Deviations of the one God. So we have moved away from the Aten, the sun disk, the S-U-N of God. And we are all now following this S-O-N, this character, this sexless character. Yeah, we have to originally think it out. We have to awaken our consciousness and see that the people who are called Israelis, the country with the nuclear weapons in the middle of all other nations, backed by the United States. Yeah, we have to see them for who them is. And we have to declare that I cannot embrace this Israel nation. It's a biblical construct, it's a Hebrew construct. The ancient Egyptians, we don't know that. That is alien.
You're moving much too slow. if you understand the real thing. Yeah, me day at town one day, up with a white man we come all the way from Norway, and him turn to me and say, how comes Jamaica full of so much screw face? Same time me lift me head to the sky, and a teardrop fall from me high. Me say my youth come we go out for a drive, let me show you why me cry. Look on the gully side. Do you see anything to smile about? Look at that hungry child, yeah. Do you see anything to smile about? Look at the schools where the youth them go to get them education. Do you see anything to smile about? Look at the conditions of our police stations. Do you see anything to smile about? No.
Yeah, we're looking at the news now locally, and the scenario here is a bit disturbing in terms of the health conditions in the schools and the fight against foot, mouth and talking disease. I think we have a problem talking in Jamaica, pure talking, and we're lacking action. But then there's a more serious thing happening in terms of there seems to be an exodus happening in our own island. But to understand through various media sources that our smallest parish, Hanover, has overtaken the most violent, our largest and most violent traditional parish, Kingston and St. Andrew. That Hanover now is facing an exodus, the people literally leaving the parish based upon the level of violence. And the violence reached extreme levels now, because we can't hide it, but it's just that it's not island wide. It's very, very specific now to Hanover, which is almost like one particular community now within the whole island. And years ago, decades ago, man always threaten man, say them all kill man and kill the family and the dog and the puss. And look as though we get to that stage now where we're actually doing that. Literally. Because the recent murders in Hanover of how many numbers of people and how many more were burnt and things, it's like people are suggesting from the police forces that is really scamming is at the foundation of this type of violence. And the scamming is not going to be lessened because of legislation. The conditions on the plantation are brutal. There is literally no money that people can generate from their own legitimate labors. Because legitimate labor is still not giving you enough money to meet the basics. So the conditions are forcing even the honest to be slightly dishonest, to endure the crisis of no money and low money. So I don't know if the governance don't realize that more police is not the solution. Because more police simply mean more violence, more brutality, more response. The solution could probably begin by looking into the subhuman structures that people have to operate out of. The lack of basic things like H2O, water. Yeah, the lack of basic facilities like a school, as they are becoming a situation where schools are now being closed. So when you begin to limit opportunities, because I would say it over and over, what the people here want and what everybody who have any sense of consciousness want is not handouts. People want an opportunity. And an opportunity is a time or a set of circumstances where it becomes possible for somebody to do something for themselves. That's what an opportunity is. Time and circumstances that make it possible for people to can help themselves. And that's what the leadership ought to be trying to provide. The time and the circumstances that make it possible. And so we have to look into the formation of institutions that will provide revenue, money. Is cash we want, and we want money. And they say production is the key. We can't produce food, we have to produce something that is industrial, It's not the ganja. It's the hemp. Yeah, that is the industry that will break the back of poverty in Jamaica. We need something revolutionary in our politics. We need a revolutionary type of politics to bring that transformation in the society. We need a revolutionary political party. We need a black revolutionary political party. Yeah, the traditional 2 horses, tired. Yeah, them can't go no more. We need something revolutionary in our politics. We need a revolutionary political party, a party that is dealing with revolutionary politics. Blackness at the foundation. Yes, because right now it's set up, it will not improve. More and more people will become less connected to the process, to a point where we will have a minority defining the lives of the majority. So the majority must begin to think now as a collective, and the thinking must be revolutionary.
God made monumental, ever balancing the physical and mental. You can't time. Tyson Gay right alongside Usain Bolt, but here he goes, streaking away already. It's Bolt all the way. He's looking round at Gay. Watch the clock. It's gold for Bolt, and again he's done it again. A new world record for Usain Bolt. They say lightning doesn't strike
Metamorphosis Sports. Metamorphosis Sports. Looking at the way people play, the importance of recreation, the importance of professional play. On this plantation, one of the ways in which the population in general liberated itself from harsh conditions was through engagement in entertainment. Entertainment means music, means dancing, it means games, it means religion as a form of entertainment. As an island, of course, we have established ourselves as the dominant athletic nation. And out of this dominance, we have developed our own set of athletic heroes. And one of the first heroes of our athletic dimension and world is Herb McKinley. And Herb McKinley and the athletes who made up that relay team, Wint and Roden and Leng, these athletes were able to get into international competition, the Olympics, and by producing victory, actually put the identity of the Jamaican on the global scene. So that type of effort and work and courage projected those runners into the dimension of hero, and they will become motivation up to today, as heroes are supposed to motivate. To the extent that the school of Herb McKinley, Calabar, has maintained its tradition right on. So the importance of heroes still have a very serious effect on us, not only in the world of religion and but in the world of entertainment. We have our sporting heroes. So we have our sprinting heroes, and the tradition which began from that time continues today, where we know about global superhero. We have the Superman Dingo, fastest man on the planet as defined by the athletic world, and also from his position of being an international track hero, words that come from his mouth will be very important and critical, because it has an effect. It has a serious effect on the population and those who admire and adore and literally worship our sporting heroes. So the athletics is now on the back burner, because in the world of sports it's rotation, and the dominant United States leads the way in setting the calendar for sports. Right now the NFL is on, while the Major League Baseball is approaching its finals. And as one sport ends, another one begins. And so ultimately there's a 24/7, 12-month a year diet being supplied through sport. In other words, there's a hungry market to consume sporting events. And so sports becomes a lucrative and a multi-billion-dollar industry. Let us not forget that there is civic society, there is political society, but that's just within the concept of the binary. There is also the sporting society. And the society has its own rules, it has its own laws, and it actually has its own money. And the amount of money that runs through sports is absolutely incredible. the salaries of sportsmen and women, the amount of profits being made by television and the media in general, leads to one direction most of the time: corruption. And nowhere is more evident right now than in the world of FIFA. And you know, heroes have a way of having the potential to become villains. Yes, the hero can become the villain, you know. And in this context now, we're talking about world football. And the leader, the previous leader, Sepp Blatter. Blatter was worshipped, or highly respected rather, within the world of international football for developing and bringing FIFA to a higher level of economics and taking the World Cup to Africa and doing things that were not conventional for the leadership of FIFA. But ultimately, what we have uncovered is that Sepp Blatter, Michel Platini, who was a candidate for the post of president, Valky, who was his secretary, all of these men now have been locked down for 90 days by the FIFA and his ethics committee. And in another program, I shall really explore what is this thing called ethics, because it is coming down heavy on the head of certain men who have been leaders. And the ethics committee has found that the leadership in FIFA has been moving around large numbers of money. The president claims that one of the gifts was a gentleman's agreement, and much money has been moved around through FIFA's offices, and now that these men have been put under sort of temporary arrest, we find that corruption seems to be walks hands in hand with big money. And it's a very difficult thing to separate. What is interesting about this fallout of FIFA is that as the presidency disintegrates and the administration falls apart, by default, it is an African who has now been put in a position to navigate through these waters. The president of the Cameroon, he has now been put in a position to temporarily lead FIFA. What a situation for the African to find himself in at a time when FIFA is at its lowest level. Look, like as always, I have to come in when things mash up to start the resurrection process. But that is international football. Locally, of course, we are into our Premier League, and we have the first casualty at the level of coaching, where the Waterhouse coach has called it a day, and he has been replaced by a former reggae boy, Paul Young. And the changes have begun earlier. We've just gone about 5 or 6 matches into the thing already, and we're losing our coach, and we don't have many coaches in the island to circulate, because we have a serious shortage of quality coaches. And if coaches are being asked so early, can you imagine when they get to this all the second and the third round of the competition? It won't be much better. And the same coaches that keep circulating. So we have a problem that is not being resolved and will only get worse. Then of course the schoolboy football is on. And before I even go to schoolboy, Waterhouse is at the bottom of the tables in the relegation zone. University of the West Indies, which is our first team entrant. They have won one game. The only game they won was against the team that we were most familiar with, Portmore. Portmore is one of the front-running teams. Just shows the irony of football. UWI, of course, will have to make some serious decisions if they're going to stay into this Premier League. Schoolboy football now is getting into the quarter-final stages, and briefly, this region here, Northeast, has one team left. That's the Port Antonio High School. The other contender, Fair Prospect, they have felt defeat already, and they seem to be heading on the way out. So the limelight and the only flagship for the Northeast now is being represented by Port Antonio High. I think they have a real coach for the first time, because they have a football coach now. Means a man obviously said no cricket coach can't take no football team to the highest level, because cricket is cricket and football is football. Compare a football coach now, they have a chance. All cricket coaches must try to win cricket tournaments. Yes, and that's where it's at. So, football goes on. And of course, the national team will be without the coach for the first 2 games of the World Cup, as he has been suspended. And local players have to be paying money out of their own pocket. The thing just out of order. I understand that the president is in England hunting more English players. This is just not sustainable. And at some point in time, the bottom of the well, the bottom of the bucket shall surely fall.
So I'll find me a place where I'll be free. and man must ensure them here. But I feel like running instead of in fine.
Yeah, the metamorphosis coming going through. Healing up all the people who have been listening, who have been connected to this powerful station, Stars FM. Whether you're on the Facebook or you're on your device, we give thanks for the connection. Healing all the people in the immediate environment. Port Antonio, Boundbrook, Ranch Hill, Shooters Hill, Shatover, all them gunman, badman place there. So like some okay corral shootout place, but that's all. It's tranquil Port Antonio. Free school up the road into the center of the town, round into the marketplace, and up the twist around the corner and up the hill, and go right past Mr. Roman, the domino man there. Hey, the man in place of domino pan Titchfield, you know. Pure gang up business, you know. Gangster culture. But they are peaceful. So we all the dominants them. And of course in Central and Summerstone Road and Anchovy, these immediate environments, I healing all the people them. Yeah. And then we go further out of east. Because east seems to be growing in the Styles country. Long Road and Hector's River, moving to St. Thomas and further down them coast there. Heal up all the people in those ends. And we return into this section here now. We're going to St. Margaret's Bay and Buff Bay and Natta Bay, down into St. Mary, into Gale and all those various places, healing all the listeners there. The twins must go to the bed. And Guardians, moving to St. Catherine, Spanish Town, Mark. The rest of the island, heal up all the people them. And of course, outside of Jamaica now, into the Caribbean. The various islands and the people them who link to Stars FM. Give thanks for the link. In Great North America there, right down there into that north, into the various states of America, where it can be very dangerous. Healing all the people, heal my night nurse, heal those who are in the north and the south, east, west and the central. Africa, Europe, Australia, all of you linked through cyberspace into this wonderful place called Stars FM, and giving thanks for my opportunity to present the Metamorphosis.
Jaja City, Jaja Town, them on fit on it in a cowboy town. And it's a life when they promote the ice of level. Let's know. So we just burn them evil concept, because we say that is a destruction to the humanity. So we say, let's know. But what's now? Hey, check this, Jaja City, Jaja Town, them on fit on it in a cowboy town. When you look at low, Jaja City, Jaja Town, them on fit on it in a dead man town. Them think them reach the ultimate, yo, but them no reach nowhere yet. Them get caught in the internet. Of society, I tell me them a intellect, them promote too much debt. When you look at go, Jaja City, Jaja Town, them a turn it in a bad man town. When you look at go, Jaja City, Jaja Town.
Who are your musical heroes? Yes, who are your musical heroes? Who are your musical revolutionary heroes? Yes, name them.
Just freedom meditation. But Molly rise and gone on them think we it done. Peter Tosh rise and gone on them think we it done. Jacob Miller rise and gone them think we it done. Danny Silky rise and gone, but look ya, Morgan family come rise and many rise to our uprising.
There is no place in heaven for black heroes. There's no place in the kingdom of heaven for revolutionary heroes. So we are born them kind of false orders. No self-respecting set of people ever demanded emancipation. liberation is what the people want. And liberation is different from freedom. Who wants to be free and dumb? Free and unable to think. We need to move to the level of liberation. Yeah, Russ, just get a little link from my virgin Russ Goodamo. Him say, as far as him concerned, the musical hero is none other than the Stepping Razor. Because them man represent liberation of the almighty ganja. Yeah, man, them man feel the wrath, you know, and suffer from the forces of colonialism in defense of the liberating herb. Them man there is musical hero. Rasta know.
Is in my heart and I grant it to my brethren today. Teach them every bit that he say. You are truly great and their eyes can see.
A protege, yeah. Chronics are where you stay, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Who knows? I just go where the trade wind blows, sending love to my friends and foes. And I suppose I'm pleased to be chilling in the West Indies. I provide all my wants and needs. I got the sunshine, rivers and trees. When me see Jah, me see a way. Drastically straight from hypocrisy, I say, hey. Every man to them own a philosophy. I live the proper way and then me read a chapter daily. Man, they in a city hungry and no eat. And food they down a country, just a drop off of the tree then. To see say poverty no real then, is what the reason revealing. Who knows? I just go where the trade wind blows.
No, there is a lack of information on the black heroines. But guess what happened? It's because we tend to just want to look only in Jamaica, you know. You see, if you look in North America, from Tubman through Sojourner, through Rosa Parks, right on through, it's a whole line of black female heroes, you know. Them call them heroines. I don't like the word heroine because I just connect that to the dope and the drug. But a lot of black females who have led to their own noble qualities that we haven't simply ignored. Because we think that heroism is a male thing. Queen Nzinga, Queen Hatshepsut. Yeah, we have African black women who are heroes. Sheroes. Sheroes probably better than heroines. And so we must elevate these sheroes into the consciousness of our youths. That we begin to glorify and worship those that bear the image and likeness of ourselves.
I just go where the train blows, sending love to my friends and foes, and I suppose
you know, I remember years ago while in the Rotten Apple, playing football and rising to a certain standard at the game. I remember being at Long Island University, LIU, speaking to the coach. The coach is a German named Didel. And him tell me, say, he would not allow his child to have a picture of Pele in his bedroom. Because although Pele was the greatest player and represented the greatest player in the world, he didn't want his son to idolize and adore Pele. Because Pele was not of the nature of him or his generation. He would rather the child have a picture of Franz Beckenbauer. Yeah, serious difference. We have to have our own heroes and sheroes. And let's not be afraid to be racial. You may have a problem if you practice being racist. But as African people, we must all become racial. We must become conscious of our race. We must develop our racial consciousness. There ain't no crime, there ain't no disease, there ain't no sin in developing our racial consciousness. Self-definition is the first step towards racial consciousness. Metamorphosis.
There's some little girls and boys in the rain. Sha-la-la-la-la. There's some little girls and boys in the rain. Sha-la-la-la-la. Want some understanding, deep understanding about Rasta. Rasta no fire on Rasta. Rasta no hate Rasta. Rasta no fight Rasta. I love Rasta. I love Rasta. Let's move constructively. Tell the children, tell them, so we got to move on. Move on to the future. Oh yes, the new century. There's some little girls and boys in the rain. Sha-la-la-la-la. There's some little girls and boys in the rain.
Coming up next is Coach Mark. Power in half an hour, right at the end of this metamorphosis. So stay tuned to Stars FM.
More than Freddy. Rastaman. And when we moving on, we will be always singing Jaja song. You can come along, my neighbors, come along. You can come along, my neighbors, come along. Yes, Rastaman. Yes, we're moving, we're moving. Yes, we're grooving and we're grooving too. Yes, we're dancing and we're dancing too. Yes, Rasta. There's some little girls and boys in the rain. Sha-la-la-la-la. There's some little girls and boys Yeah. So remember, all eyes is on Rasta. All eyes is on Rasta. Let's move constructively. Be at the right place at the right time. Let's move constructively. Be at the right place at the right time. Let's move. Let's move. Let's move constructively. Be at the right place at the right time. I stand strong in a Babylon. I stand strong in a Babylon. I stand strong in a Babylon. I stand strong in a Babylon.
Yeah, I just got a link from a virgin who lives in New York, and him actually knew Dita Fickin, the coach I just mentioned from LIU. Yeah, so it's a good that we are connecting to cyberspace, these various forces in time and space. Yeah, so if we're going on, it's a remembering of the African people.
His Majesty, Big Martin Luther King.
Hail up Alan Green, hail up Pauline Smith. Yes, and I listen to the Metamorphosis in a silence. What also?
I stand strong in a Babylon. I stand strong in a Babylon. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. His Majesty, Big Marcus Garvey. His Majesty, Big Martin Luther King. I stand strong in a Babylon. 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 Watch my footsteps.
Yes, remember at the end of this program you will have Coach Mark in with his program Power in Half an Hour, and I encourage all listeners to stay tuned to Styles FM and be inspired by Coach Mark. Yes, it's good.
Check your move in a Babylon. Yes, check your move. Check your move. I stand strong in a Babylon. I stand strong in a Babylon.
Hail up the royalists. Yes, royal and loyal listener. Yes, I. Dirks, Patrick, long time. Colonel, long time. Andy, long time. Osa Border, Rasmakunin, Jalani Naya, Rastafari. Peace unto the ones and ones, and explore and examine who are your heroes and sheroes. and recognize the need for revolutionary thinking, beginning with the structures that are within our own brain. Peace unto the eye and the eye. Iman Blak Oct.
The distress